The Florida community of mindfulness is happy to make these talks available to you. If you find this talk to be a benefit, please consider making a donation to support us. You'll find a donation button on the Talks section of our website, floridamindfulness.org. Thank you, and may you be happy and free of suffering.
So this is the second day of our retreat here in the Franciscan Center on mind training. Training the mind. Retraining the mind. From a mind that is unwholesome to a mind that is wholesome. From a mind that often sabotages your healing and transformation to a mind that is very much totally involved in that process. So yesterday in the Dharma talk, many things were talked about, but I think the key points were giving you a sense of sort of how this whole thing comes into being, talking about the 9 consciousnesses and how they interact, and that how it's the interaction of these 9 consciousnesses that constructs the world for us. And how, the Buddha's concern with that our construction of the world through our thoughts, through our concepts, is distorted, is fundamentally distorted. And therefore we do not see what's really going on. Like I, at this point, can't see what's going on over here. And yet I made some attempts, you might have noticed, to write it. And yet I had no idea what I was doing. But you notice that did not stop me. But see, it takes someone who is clear-sighted and can see the problem to do it right. So this is what goes on all the time. Unfortunately, we don't have people like Brian around to continually correct our distortions. So we stumble about. And we have stumbled about our whole lives. It's called delusion. And that is why the Buddha's concern is not that we're just, that we're always distracted by our thoughts. He was more, which is true, because for any kind of significant transformation and change, there needs to be a certain level of concentration and attention. But most importantly, we are completely distorting reality. Now, for many people in here, that may be, I don't know, what? A challenge? Because most of us believe we see reality somewhat correctly. But the idea that we are totally distorting it may really get right to us. But if you think about it, at any moment, endless bits of information from our eyes, from our ears, sight, sounds, nose, smelling, all our senses, endless thoughts arising. This is what's going on moment to moment. And yet we attend to a tiny part of even the information that's coming our way. It is, most of it we don't even see. Right? Like right now, you're looking in this direction. If you were looking in that direction, you'd have a totally different experience. But you think this is reality. We think this is reality. Whatever our bifurcating consciousness, as it skips around all over the place, whatever it looks at, we think, oh, this is really what's going on. For example, we've been alive. Everybody here has been alive? Yeah. Some people have been born. We've been alive for several decades. Some people have been alive for many decades. Is that true? And in that life of ours, if you add up all the moments of experience, second by second, minute by minute, it's millions. It's millions of bits of things that we have experienced. And yet, if we tell the story of our life, we can reduce it to one page. I've had a good life. What the hell does that mean? I've had a bad life. I mean, none of that is true. You've had a life. And unless every second of your life was unremitting hell that could be verified by an objective, person, that's not true. Many people said, I grew up in a dysfunctional family. That's why I am the way I am. No. You had lots of experiences. You went to the bathroom. You brushed your teeth. You ate breakfast. You went to school. You know what I mean? You had so many moments of experience, but you only remember and obsess about certain ones. Is that correct? Is that not what we do? We have filtered out, we have picked and chosen consciously to create a narrative about ourselves that is fundamentally distorted. It doesn't mean things didn't happen, but there are certain things that have happened which only might have lasted a few minutes or a day or a few days or something that are like this big, gigantic. And the other 10,000 things that happened have been reduced to, we can't even remember them. Is that not true? And yet we create a narrative that we think is true about who we are and how our life has been. You know, well, I didn't have a loving mother. That may be true. But does that mean that every interaction of your life growing up in that home was all negative? Think about it. Or is that what the mind caught on, got stuck on, repeated over and over again? And over time, that's all that was noticed. I mean, did she ever give you breakfast? Did she ever take you to the doctors when you were sick? You know? Did you ever go to a PTA? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, lots of little things. Did she ever drive you to your lessons? You know what I mean? I mean, weren't those acts of kindness too? I mean, in reality, all that's going on is moment to moment things are happening, right? That's all that's going on. Moment to moment things are happening. People are doing this, people are not doing this. People, that's what we're doing. And moment to moment, our mind is giving meaning to what it perceives is occurring. But if that which is perceiving is not able to really process objectively the information, it's all skewed, distorted. But we don't know that, do we? We don't know that our glasses are distorting things. We think that's what's really happening. And then we create all these ideas and beliefs about ourselves and the world that then we just act on. It's called reification. We reify year after year, relationship after relationship, moment by moment, interaction after interaction, and we believe it's what? True. Absolute truth. None of it is true. Only what is true is that something happened. Everything else is our story about it. Now, I'm not saying this to diminish one's suffering that one has experienced up to now. But we are on the path of healing and transformation. And the Buddha gave us tools to correct our distorted thinking. Somebody's nice to us and we think what? Great guy. Somebody's not nice to us, we think, what a jerk. Sometimes it's the same person. I mean, that's how untrustworthy this mind is, right? We fall in love and we think what? Finally, everything's going to work out, right? I won't tell you what happens next. And yet we still trust this instrument to give us correct information about reality and to run our life. And that just, I mean, it goes on all the time. I mean, how many times have we found that our beliefs about things are absolutely incorrect? And they're usually corrected by reality. We think something's going to happen, but we obsess, we worry, we plan, and then we get there, it doesn't happen. We think somebody's going to be like this, they're not. They're like that. I mean, that happens all the time. And yet we still continue to trust this faulty instrument to guide our life. Is that not true? And that's just like on the everyday human stuff. I'm not even talking about the big stuff, like not seeing impermanence, right? Not seeing the empty nature of things, not seeing the selfless nature of reality. I mean, those are the big things that we miss completely. So we're here today to look deeply into the nature of how we perceive the world. And if we accept this radical psychology of Buddhism, it is telling us it is a distortion. We can't even keep up with the information that's coming in, and we're distorting it. We cannot see anyone. The complexity of a human being is more than our little puny mind could ever fathom. And yet we make judgments. This is a good person, this is a bad person, this is a nice person. No. People are complex, just like we are. They have multiple seeds, multiple causes and conditions that have created them. We don't know anything, truly. Do we? No. We live a cartoon existence where everything is kind of one-dimensional. That's because thoughts are that way. And yet life is so, the reality of experience is so wondrous and mysterious. It cannot be simply reduced to a label, a word, a concept. So therefore what? What do we do? What do we do when we realize that? We see problems where there are no problems. We see barriers where there are no barriers. We see issues where there are no issues. What do we do? What? Well, what? Well, one of the things we learn, like we talked about yesterday and practiced during the day, to see the difference between reality, what is just happening, and our thoughts about reality. To clearly see they're not the same. The thoughts about my mother are not my mother. My thoughts about myself is not myself. Right? Many people work hard for years simply to change what about themselves? Their image of themselves. right? They used to see themselves as a terrible person. Now they're learning to see themselves as a worthwhile person. Is that true? How many people here have worked that one and are still working that one? Right. And yet the truth is, you are who you are. You know, you can see yourself from this way, and you can see yourself from that way, and you can see yourself from up on the ceiling. But that, all that is changing is what? Your perspective. On what? On you. So therefore, what, Rex? Stop it. Just stop it. Accept him as he is. That's all. You don't, we are more than our thoughts about who we are. What is a thought? Okay, this is a question. We're in class. Please, everybody, close your eyes. Since everybody here has acknowledged they do think, what is a thought? Just look at it. What is a thought? Just bring up a thought. Bring up a thought. Just bring up your name. Whatever your name is, just bring it up and look right at that thought. What is that? What is that? Just look at it. Don't even call it a label. Just look at it. What is it? It's nothing. Well, that's a thought. I mean, unless you're in some kind of altered reality, I don't think you see neurons firing. Do you, Rex? We'd have to worry about you if you did. Yeah. Just more thoughts. Can you see just more thoughts? But the truth is, when we look at our thought and we see our name Rex, it's just nothing. Isn't it? You tell me. I am a worthy person. I am an unworthy person. I can say anything. I'm a lovable person. I'm an unlovable person. I'm a great person. I'm a terrible person. Right? I'm the smartest person in the world. I'm the stupidest person in the world. Right? I'm still this. Right? Isn't that true? I'm still this. Whatever this is, that's what I am. And everything else is just some sort of concept that we make up, And certainly it feels better to say positive things about yourself than negative things about yourself. I would have certainly, on the evolutionary scale of just feeling, certainly that feels better. But why do we even need it? Right? Do turkey vultures feel bad because they're not eagles? They're like, what's going on out there? Right? We think this stuff is real. And we run our lives and everybody else's lives on these distortions. We have to correct the distortions. First, we have to do what we've just been doing, which is understanding how these distortions come into being and how they function. We study and we watch our minds. That's what mindfulness of the mind is doing. So we see it for ourselves. Yeah, this mind is just endlessly fabricating, endlessly fabricating. Sees things that aren't there, right? Here's gongs in the middle of the night. It's like, right? Sees barriers and walls. So we have to understand this first, and we can reify the understanding of it through the practice of mindfulness and insight. We will see this for ourselves. But yet, we are left with a significant problem. That even though we may have come to that understanding, right? Remember yesterday we talked about habit energy, storehouse consciousness. We have this stream of consciousness that is continuing to run along its stream. Right? So we, even though we might have had some insight or understanding, and there are many people in this room who maybe over the years have had, various kinds of insights, and yet find that they still, on a day-to-day level, sort of function in the same way. Why is that? It's because we have not transformed our thoughts. That's the missing piece we often overlook. Because the habitual way we have of thinking has a long energy, right? Has a lot of energy behind it, a lot of force, depending on how many years, decades, we've been thinking these things, and the kind of frequency and the power of them, right? They have power. So the Buddha understood that. So therefore, in Buddhism, right thought and the practices of thought transformation are very essential to the path. We have to change the way we think about things. Right? Now, hopefully many of you or most of you are in the upcoming um, intensive on the Lojong. It's a very specific kind of mind trainings. That's what that's about. Retraining the mind to perceive and think about things, situations in a totally different way. Now, what I want to share with you today is an older sutra of the Buddha called the Vitakasantana Sutta, or the Relaxation of Thought Sutra, in which the Buddha enunciates 5 ways of dealing with thoughts. Okay? And then I want to share what I think is a even pithier, is something from Thich Nhat Hanh. And then we'll have the rest of the day and tomorrow and the rest of our life to practice. Any questions about what's been said so far? Yes. You're saying, what if somebody has a chronic illness? Okay. Well, then obviously, if someone has a chronic illness, I would say in reality they have a chronic illness, which is a series of things that are going on in your body that have to be dealt with. Is that not true? Okay. What else is there? Look what you're saying. See, can you hear? Do you hear her? Do you hear her saying, to do that, you have to trust, but I can't do that because to trust means I have to accept. And then you said all the things it means to you. You have to be hopeless. You have to be this. Who says you have to be? Well, maybe you're distorting it, Raven, and it's causing you suffering. Acceptance doesn't mean any of that. Okay? We'll talk about it. But it doesn't mean any of that. Acceptance just means accepting reality for what it is. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can you be okay with that? Yeah. No, I understand. But I mean, there it is. You know, we have to end our war with reality. It causes us to suffer. I mean, it's that simple. You have to see it. I'm just causing, you know, it's what in Buddhism is called the second arrow. The first arrow are these physical symptoms. That's that arrow is given. You got shot. Okay. But the second arrow are all these other things you're doing. And the third arrow, the hopelessness, the despair, the anger, the why me, it shouldn't be this. I mean, my answer to why me is, why not me? I mean, why not me? Okay, but I'm just saying, it may not be you, but I mean, it's people, but that's another thing, why not me? Or it could be, why my son, why my daughter, why my mother, why am I there? Why? Why not? It happens. This world's a mess, isn't it? Yeah, it's all kind. I mean, I'm amazed that there aren't more car accidents. I mean, having spent my whole life dealing with people and what goes on in their mind, I'm amazed. And how distracted people are and how obsessed they are by their issues. It's always a wonderment to me that people stay in lane. Because if you know what's going on in their mind, that gives me great faith. There is a kind of automatic learning that goes on. That even though their minds may be all over the place, their early driver training is just kind of keeping them right. It's a madhouse. All right? Here we are. Do you want to get well? That's all. That's all. Do you want to reduce your suffering as much as you can? You may not be able to reduce your physical sufferings, right? We don't know, do we? We don't know. But all that secondary suffering that you have control, power over. And to me, the more you have issues like physical issues that you can't control, right? The more you have to amplify that area of your life that you still have control over, such as your mind, such as your emotions, such as your thoughts. Because you don't have leisure anymore, just to coast, do you? Coasting is over for Raven, isn't it? So the Sutra says, I have heard that on one occasion the Blessed One, the Buddha, was staying at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anapathindika's monastery. There he addressed the monks. Monks! Yes, Lord, they said. And he said, when a monk is intent on the heightened mind, the awakened mind, the enlightened mind, whatever you want to call it, there are 5 themes he should attend to at the appropriate times. Which 5? There is the case where evil, unskillful thoughts, imbued with desire, aversion, delusion, arise in a monk while he's referring to and attending to a particular theme. He should attend to another theme, apart from that one, connected with what is skillful. When he is attending to this other theme, apart from that one, connected with what is skillful, then those evil, unskillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion, delusion are abandoned and subside. With their abandoning, he steadies his mind right within, settles it, unifies it, and concentrates it. Just as a skilled carpenter or his apprentice could use a small peg to knock out, drive out, and pull out a large one. So this is the first. He's talking about what? We might call it thought substitution, replacement. He's basically saying replace unwholesome thinking with wholesome thinking. Just replace it. Now, what does that look like? This thought substitution. Is that better? So thought substitution is stuff we know. If you think of all the compassion, loving kindness, metta things, right? So somebody did something. You're disappointed, you're hurt, you're angry, you're irritated. You become aware that an afflictive mind state has risen to you immediately. Knowing that that has arisen in you, you immediately send what to that person? What? Metta. May they be happy. May they be free of suffering. You immediately turn it around. You're angry. You're upset. Send metta to yourself. May I be happy. May I be free of suffering. I mean, the substitution, I could go on and on. We could do it about anything, right? My mother was a bad person. My mother did her best. She had her causes and conditions. Right? You substitute a wholesome thought, a thought of understanding, a thought of love, a thought of acceptance, a thought of patience. Right? You're caught in traffic. Right? Oh, this is helping me develop patience. Right? Thought substitution. That could go on all the time. It takes 10 seconds. But you're reconditioning your mind. See, if you don't recondition your mind, it won't be reconditioned. I mean, how else do you recondition your mind other than this way of thought substitution? Right? Let's just play with this for 2 minutes. Any other ways anybody ever substitute thoughts? I don't know why. Maybe I should put it on the front. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just. Thank you, brother. See, I could be irritated, right? He's always harassing me. You know what I mean? I could be up here irritated at him, but I think how wonderful it is that he's taking the time to help me. That's thought substitution. Is that clear? That's replacing wholesome for unwholesome. Because when I say that, I am supporting understanding and patience. The other one, I am just continuing to support impatience. And if you wonder why you have long-term characteristics of responding to life in an afflictive way and why they're still with you, even though you've been practicing for 100 years, it is because of this. Because we're not willing throughout the day as these distorted, afflictive, I mean, I'm not even saying what the Buddha said. He called them evil, unskillful thoughts. I'm being more modern, right? Imbued with desire, aversion, delusion. And then when we abandon them, we steady our mind, we settle it, we unify it. Yes. And the opposite would be what? Give me an example. Mm-hmm. So you're noticing that you're getting angry because you're saying this is stupid. Somebody like me should not be caught in traffic. I'm too important. I understand that. I feel the same way. Well, but why is it agitating? Yeah, what? But what are you reacting to? I mean, what's the thought? Oh yeah, I'm not getting my way. If there's one thing self does not like, it's what? Not getting its way. I mean, somebody like me deserves to drive on a traffic-free road. I mean, is that true? Notice I don't care about anybody else really. Right? I mean, if I get up in the morning and I'm doing, I'm going somewhere and I do the what's it called? The GPS, the whatever that thing is. You know, the fact that it's red all over the place, as long as it's not red where I'm going, you see, that's all I care about. The fact that everybody else is, cutting traffic jams everywhere, I couldn't care less, right? I don't want to see red for anywhere I'm going, right? Yeah, so that's, and yeah, so that's good. I mean, again, but it's important that you go ahead and make the statement to yourself, which is the patient statement, because that is reconditioning your mind. To see you have the opportunity to, but don't do it, is only, it's moving in the right direction. But what is important is that we learn to make that wholesome thought, to cultivate it. Yes. Mm, yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So the thank you, Dan. So the question is, uh, sharing that somebody cuts in line in front of her, and rather than first thought is, oh, they're selfish. Look at that. I would never do anything like that. Of course, when you say that, then you have to really examine your whole life and say, have I ever cut in line anywhere? Which may not be, but Robbie says she substitute. You know that there may be a reason. Why that woman's in a hurry or why somebody's speeding. Yeah, it that promotes understanding, right? And when there's understanding, that negative mindset is let go of, and you can relax, and you actually feel for that person, compassion for that person. Right, 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 right. So that's a distortion when Robbie's saying, yeah, that her assessment that this person's a selfish person is a total fabrication. We don't know that person, do we? We don't have the slightest idea or anything about them. And to say like they're a selfish person is total. Again, it's like a cartoon. In cartoons, there's the good guy and the bad guy. The guys with the black hats and it's kind of easy to see, but it's not like that. You know, we're all capable of selfish actions, aren't we? Right? But we're also capable of good actions. And that person who's cutting in line, may be hurrying home to take care of their sick mother, or hurrying to their job where they're a very loving person. I mean, we don't know anything. That's why we shouldn't be judging anyone. Yeah. Any other ways that people go about thought substitution? Yes, Dana. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. How wonderful it is that I have a body that I can still move. Right, Raven over there, maybe going, gee, if this, I would love to be able to go work out and exercise, right? And you're over there complaining when you work out. I mean, that's how crazy we are, right? Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, how wonderful it is that my body, that I can still exercise and I can still do these things. How fortunate I am. Yeah. So that's immediate changes everything, right? Changes our mind, changes our mind state. And the most important thing is we haven't, well, they're four of the ways. Yeah. And they kind of interfere. Anybody else want to? Yes, Rex. Mm-hmm. Right. Just wait. Yeah, just wait. Okay. Yeah. Substitute it. Just wait for the impatient desire. Just wait. It'll go away. Yeah. So there are many, many ways that we do that. But this is it's interesting. This is the first. Substitute a wholesome for the unwholesome. That should be our immediate response. When an unwholesome thought, what's the opposite? so I can see it differently. They're just a product of their causes and conditions. Oh, that's all that negative stuff I don't need. They're just a product of their causes and conditions. Substitute that one. May they be free. They're suffering. May they be free from suffering. May they be happy. Isn't that true? Whenever you see somebody acting badly, they're suffering. Isn't that really what's going on? May they be free of their suffering. They don't know better. How sad. May they be free. Right? That's all. Positive mind. Positive mind. It's positive thinking. Next, the Buddha said, if evil, unskillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion, delusion still arise in the monk while he's attending to this other theme, that means like whatever you're thinking about, connected what is skillful, then he should, and we sort of, then he should scrutinize the drawbacks to these thoughts. Truly, these thoughts of mine are unskillful. These thoughts of mine are blameworthy. These thoughts of mine will result in stress. And as he's scrutinizing the drawbacks of those thoughts, evil, unskillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion, or delusion, they are abandoned and subside. With their abandoning, he steadies his mind right within, settles it, unifies it, concentrates. Just as a young man or woman fond of adornment would be horrified, humiliated, and disgusted if the carcass of a snake or dog or a human being were hung around their neck. So the Buddha used these kinds of similes and metaphors to kind of get our attention, right? It's like, yuck. Think about, what am I doing right now when I'm thinking these angry thoughts, these bitter thoughts, these despairing thoughts, these hopeless thoughts, these judgmental thoughts, what am I doing now? Right? You see? Examine the thoughts and be aware of the results that are going to come from continuing. Right? I say does everybody here, would everybody here like to have a wholesome, happy, loving, kind, just imbued with all the good qualities? Would anybody like that? All right. And yet here we are, what? Right? You know what I mean? And we go, so he's saying that, stop and ask yourself, what am I doing right now? Is this contributing to, if I follow these thoughts, where is this bringing me? Happiness or unhappiness? Do you see? So he's saying, so first, substitute. If you can't substitute and you're kind of a little stuck in them, then kind of step back and analyze what these thoughts are doing to you, what they're producing for you, for your relationship with the other person. I mean, is this healthy? Yes. Mm-hmm. Without saying the person, just so we get a little more. So you were thinking this person, what? They did what? They're, right. Oh, I like that one. All right. Hold on. And did you only think that once? Like, oh no. Oh, okay. So one time, you're right. So can you see it? All right. All right. So let's say, you walk into a room, it's a pig pen, and you go, this person's a slob. Right? Okay. End of story. Right? But no. No. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, especially if it's somebody who's living with you or something. Yeah. Right? See, that's okay. And then, but we don't do that, do we? We ruminate. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, carcass of a snake, dog, or you yeah, 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 miserable. Oh, Evelyn, we're deluded. We actually get pleasure out of, I mean, in a sick way, in repeating this this garbage, right? We are like, we think, oh, those raccoons, those rats who get into the garbage, at night, you know, disgusting creatures. And yet we ruminate in our garbage all day, and we think it's kind of wonderful, right? Yeah. So sad but true. So again, if you can't, that person's, a slob. Their room's a mess or whatever, or they didn't clean up the kitchen, whatever they didn't do. But do they have any wholesome qualities? So that's the thought substitution. Yeah, yeah, they didn't do that, but they do so many good things for me. They're so kind in so many ways. You see, that's immediately going to the wholesome. It doesn't mean that that first negative thought you have to kind of, you know, deny, but it's like you put things in perspective and you cultivate the wholesome. Yes. Hmm. Right. So what I'm just saying, yeah. So what Evelyn's saying is that when through mindfulness she sees how this, not only the original thought or perception, which is negative, but the constant repetition, how that goes deeper and deeper into the mind stream and is conditioning us, right? In a very deep way. It is that leaning. In the Yogacara, they call it perfuming. It's like one negative thing. You know how like perfume, somebody's wearing strong perfume and all of a sudden, all the clothes, days afterwards smell of perfume, and even, you might go home, you might have been with this person and you might smell it on you, right? And so it's interesting. The Buddha or the Yogacarans said that's what goes on within our depth consciousness. That when one negative thing comes in, it perfumes other things. So all of a sudden we might find ourselves in a bad mood, or all of a sudden we now, we start out thinking that, but if you stay stuck there, with what a slob they are, then all of a sudden, because it's going down a negative route, you go, yeah, and they're also so inconsiderate, and they're also bump, bump. Can you see it? And you remember all these things, and yeah, perfuming, dangerous. Third, if evil, unskillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion, delusion still arise in the monk while he's scrutinizing the drawbacks of those thoughts, right? So the first, they try to substitute. That's not working. Substitution's not working. Cultivating wholesome's not working. Next, trying the the examining what's going. So he's saying if even looking at the drawbacks of these thoughts, right? Third, what they should do is he should pay no mind, no attention to these thoughts. Okay, ignore, look away from, distract yourself, do something else. They're just thoughts. It's very interesting. We would go, hold on, it doesn't sound like Buddhism. Well, Buddhism is very practical. I think that's a wonderful thing about these teachings. It's like, first thing, cultivate the wholesome, right? Second, if that's not working, just kind of analyze, this mind state you're cultivating and see where it's leading you and the negative things that'll cause you and others. If that's not working, distract yourself. Just drop the thought. Go do something else. Go for a walk. Go, you see? Distract yourself. Forget it. Get over it. All right, it happened. He's a slob. What's for dinner? Because thoughts come and go. They have no solidity. They have no impermanence. They stay because we indulge them. We obsess, we ruminate, we invite back in, we repeat over and over again. Thoughts, if you watch your mind, everybody's been watching their mind today. What do you notice about thoughts if you let them be? Yeah, just let them be. They just go. They're discrete mental events. Discrete mental events. That's all that's going on in our mind. Discrete mental events are constantly arising and passing. They appear to be solid, but they're not. They're discrete mental events. There's space in between them. Ignore them. Distract yourself. Don't give them any more attention. You can say it. Right? I'm not going to give you any more attention. I'm done with you. Yes.
I'm amazed at how Buddhism has evolved, and Yogacara, especially in terms of the brilliance
Mm-hmm.
of these masters that thousands of years ago, just through sheer observation, were able to come up with things that have been reified by neuroscience now. And when I listen to this third teaching of the Buddha in terms of relaxation, it's brilliant because we have in our mind, it's one thing to have this volitional control. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go ahead and let it pass. But there are things biochemically that happen when we're triggered that emotionally flood us, and we're not our normal selves. So his observation that you sometimes have to walk away and distract yourself and calm down until those 90 seconds and that wave of emotion, chemically speaking,
Right.
is over, is brilliant.
Yeah, so Alex is just bringing us up to date on neuroscience and telling us that they've discovered there is this kind of limbic flooding of emotionality, which often kind of short circuits our response to respond in any kind of rational, coherent way, and therefore it is best just to walk away, give it a rest for a few minutes until the flood passes, until the storm passes, and then we can come back. So he's saying, brilliant, these guys. Now, number 4. If evil, unskillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion, and delusion still arise in the monk while he's paying no mind and no attention to these thoughts. Can you see it's like a triage? Okay? And I'll give you, I'll send you all of you the reference for this sutra. Uh, so, okay, so now he's saying, okay, so if that doesn't work, right? He says, still arising among paying no mind and paying no attention thoughts, he should attend to the relaxing of the thought fabrication with regard to these thoughts. As he's attending to and relaxing the thought fabrication with regard to these thoughts, these evil, unskillful thoughts are abandoned and subside. Where they're abandoned, he steadies his mind right within, settles it, unifies, concentrated. Just as the thought would occur to a man walking quickly. Why am I walking quickly? Why don't I walk slowly? So he walks slowly. Then the thought occurs to them, why am I walking slowly? Why don't I stand? He stands. The thought occurs to him, why am I standing? Why don't I sit down? He sits down. The thought occurs to them, why am I sitting? Why don't I lie down? He lies down. In this way, giving up the grosser posture, he takes up the more refined one. Okay? So this is about what? This is sort of like relaxing the thought processes. Why am I all stirred up? Why am I getting all agitated by this? Why don't I just relax? Right? Just relax. Just slow it down. You know, nothing's going on. I don't need to just relax the thought processes. Relax the fixation. Speak to yourself this way. Why don't I just slow it down a little bit? Why don't I just ease off it a little bit? Right? Kind of let things, and then we can, and then we can ask ourselves some deeper questions like, where is this arising from? I mean, last night or sometime yesterday, in one of our interactions, somebody was saying, well, underneath it, there's a lot of fear. I forget what it was, but it was up here, but then underneath it, it was, oh, I'm afraid. Oh, see, we kind of let's slow down. Okay, what's going on here? Oh, I'm afraid. Okay, let's just be with that a moment. Okay, let's just relax into that. Let's kind of look at that. You see, so we're kind of relaxing into that which is fabricating the thought. I'm afraid if I don't say something, then if I don't say anything, they'll be a slob forever. I'm afraid. You see, a lot of times it's underneath that, or things about myself. If I don't keep myself under tight control, then God knows what I'll do. So underneath that, a lot of anxiety. A lot of times, we're angry, a lot of anger because we're hurt, we're disappointed. But we have to relax, the upper one to get down to underneath. So I think he's saying that sometimes, we may just have to go deeper, right, to see what's supporting, whatever's arising. You see what I'm saying? I mean, you see it's kind of, as Alex said, it's kind of a genius in it, beginning with, instead of an everyday way, see if you can just, substitute wholesome, the kind of thoughts you want to have, which is really the low jung training, substitute those. And all of a sudden you'll see it totally differently, right? Drive all blames into one. Oh, now I get it. Be kind to everyone. Oh, now I remember, right? But if you can't do that, then see the toll the thoughts are taking on you, the emotions are taking on you. Ask yourself, is this really where I want to go? Is this where I really want to go? If that doesn't work, distract yourself. Take a break. Walk away. If that doesn't work, then maybe we need to look a little deeper to what's underneath and supporting these thoughts fabrication. Is that clear? Yeah. Number 5. I think it's interesting because we can't believe the Buddha said this. If evil, unskillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion, delusion still arise in the monk while he's attending to the relaxing of thought fabrication with regard to those thoughts, then, with his teeth clenched, and his tongue pressed against the roof of his mouth, he should beat down, constrain, and crush his mind with awareness. As, with teeth clenched and his tongue pressed against the roof of his mouth, he is beating down, constraining, crushing his mind with his awareness. These evil, unskillful thoughts are abandoned and subside. With their abandoning, he steadies his mind right within, settles it, unifies, concentrates it. Okay? So this is like, if all else fails, stop. Just order yourself. Stop it. Stop this nonsense. Right? Sometimes you got to talk to him or her that way. So please, that's kind of the wrathful side. Sometimes you got to say, knock it off. Right? Sometimes we need that. Just knock it off. Stop it. Or for those you don't like talking that way, let it go. Just let it go. Right? You see what I'm saying? Sometimes just your awareness of what is right has just got to come in. Like with a child. Like you reason with your child. Those who've had children, you reason with you do that. At a certain point, no. It's like, no, that's all. End of discussion. Right? Very clear directive. Stop it. Right? You're just causing suffering for yourself. Stop it. It's unskillful. Just stop it. No reasons. No, I'm not going to give any. No, we're beyond reasons. We're beyond thought substitution. We're beyond, you know, looking deeply into it. Stop. Okay. So this is. I mean, I was aware of, over time of these various ways of thought training, but I'd never really been aware of this sutra. So I was very happy to discover it. Now, so. Uh, So very simple, right? So please use them today. I mean, we're here to practice. Okay. Yeah, I never thought of. We don't have any. Well, can everybody remember them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, how can we say it simply? Substitution, replace. Unwholesome with wholesome. Examine, analyze. What's going on now? Where's this mindset getting me? Ignore, forget, distract, relax, and go deep, more deeply under the thoughts to see what's there. And fifth, stop it. Okay? And maybe we can write them down or something. I don't know. So anyways, we can get a piece of paper and just write them down and post them. But, well, again, yeah. So I think it's a triage. I think that's what he's done. I mean, I'm reading into it. Yeah, I think it's a triage. He's saying, yeah, the best practice is cultivate the wholesome thought. Right? Yeah. I mean that's the best practice. If that doesn't work, then begin to do these other steps. Because at the end of the day, these other steps prevent us from going down the road of negativity and unwholesomeness. But the practice is cultivating a wholesome mind that has wholesome thoughts. Yeah. So we always want to come back to that. Right. So that idea of replacing, I think, even if you go, if you can't do it in the beginning, but you have to use the other ones, it'd be good if you could come back to. So, what would be the wholesome response to this situation? What's the wholesome thought? Again, and you're doing that not just for the situation that you're in, the very minute situation you're in, minute meaning, some experience in life, that's causing this to arise. It's because you also remember the storehouse consciousness, which is made up of everything you've ever thought, and right? You want to transform that. That's what transformation is really about. And the way you transform that is by putting better stuff in your storeroom. Raise the quality of your storeroom. Get the junk out, get the garbage out. Put in good stuff in your storeroom. Wholesome stuff that supports you. The more you do that, the more your kind of unconscious mind changes. And you will feel it. Okay? Now, yes, Jack. This is a little different, but it's really along the same line. But I think it's one of these key teachings that have great power in relationship to thoughts. And it is Thich Nhat Hanh's, "Are you sure?" Or "Is it true?" I mean, this is the quickest way to break out of delusion. Okay? So when somebody says they're walls, the response, I would ask you, but you would ask yourself, is it true that there are walls between you and other people? Is it true? Absolutely true. And you'd have to say what? No. Right away, can you feel that opening? It doesn't mean I have believed it my whole life but when I stop and ask myself that simple question, is it true? Am I absolutely sure that this thought that I'm having about reality or person is absolutely true? The answer will always or almost always be, I am not sure. And in that not sureness, everything opens. Right? Are you sure, Robbie, that that woman who cut in front of you is selfish? If I said to you, are you sure? Are you absolutely sure, Robbie? No. We'd have to say, no, I really have no idea. Nina, are you absolutely sure that you heard a gong at 4 a.m. in the morning? Not anymore. Yeah. Yeah, because you took a little time to check it out. But can you see? So now you go, oh yeah. Yeah, at the moment I thought I was sure. Just like at the moment you thought, oh, selfish. Walls. And other people have been sharing, right? And all of a sudden, when you're willing to step back and go, hold on, somebody's ringing a gong at 4 a.m. That's bizarre. Yeah, yeah, and the halls aren't full of people. I wonder if anybody else heard it. Whatever. You see, I get a story, but the bottom line is the original thesis was incorrect. Yeah, and that willingness. Is it true? Am I sure? Just take a moment. And then I want you to work with this today with all your thoughts. Just somebody give me a thought that they have all the time about life, themselves, their people. What? I have too much to do. Is that true? No. Yeah. See, the truth is what? Just things to do. That's all. But the thought, when you have the thought, I have too much to do, what does that do to you? Stress. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yet the truth is, as soon as you take the time to go, is that true? That I have too much to do? No, I have things to do. That's all. Right? And I'll do it. Okay. So there's two things to notice. One is the untruth of our statements. And the second thing, the important thing is to notice how you feel when you have it and when you don't have it. Right? So when you have that thought, I have too much to do, Diane says, I feel agitated, pressured, stressed, panicky. All right. And as soon as you tell yourself, yeah, I have a lot of things to do, but I'm capable of handling them all and I'll do them in time, you feel what? Relaxed. Right? Calm. It's really that simple. This is very key. This is it true. You can turn things around and very quickly. Who else has a truth? Yes. Yeah, yeah, good, good, good. Oh, good. I like him. No, no. Okay, good. My sister-in-law. No, that's wonderful. No, no, yeah, that's good. My sister-in-law killed my mother. Okay? And if I said, Maria, is that true that your sister-in-law killed your mother? Do you know that for sure? Absolutely. Something that she gave your mother, did she give it to your mother to kill her? Are you sure? Hold on, hold on. Did she give it? Did she give the medication to your mother to kill her? Are you sure she wanted to kill her? No. That's first thing. Why did she give your mother the medication? No, no, no. From her point of view, your sister-in-law's point of view, in her mind, why did she give it to your mother? Okay, so she thought she was following the doctor's orders and it would help her, right? So what I hear you saying is your sister-in-law, right, thinking she was helping your mother by following the doctor's orders, right, gave your mother the medication, and you're sure that that very specific thing was what killed her. Okay. All right. Okay. I understand you did, but again, you know, it's very. Can you feel when you say my sister-in-law killed my mother? Whoa, right? On the other hand, my sister-in-law, following orders, respecting that the doctor always knows right, thinking this would be beneficial for my mother, gave her something that in hindsight looks like she should probably. But again, what, was an autopsy done? I mean, are you clear that that's what killed her? I know, but I mean, are you sure that that alone did it? And are you sure she wouldn't have died of something else? I mean, it's like, and I just had this strange thought, don't take this the wrong way. But sometimes when somebody, don't take this the wrong way, but sometimes when somebody's in a really bad shape and it's only going to get worse, their death is not the worst thing for them, for their suffering. Could that be true also? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But I'm just saying, it's like, yeah, it can be a relief. So yeah, I'm not saying, but can you see when you have this, my sister-in-law killed, I mean, can you see that it's not true? It's not true, right? People often do things, people kill people just driving around town, right? Right? Don't they? Hit a pedestrian, get this. I mean, it's all kinds of stuff. Do we call these people killers? Is it true? Is your sister an evil person? Your sister-in-law? I'm just saying stop. All she does is evil to everyone. No. Is your sister so is your sister-in-law an evil person? No. Could you say anything kind about her? Such as a wonderful mother, a wonderful wife. Was she also and she took and she and she took care of your mother for years because you were in America and she was in Austria. I mean, can you see when you say that, does that feel differently than she killed my mother? Yeah. Can you? That's a substitute, which is, and again, it's not a perfect world. It's like the same thing, with people with their mothers and their fathers. Yeah, they might have done terrible things, but they were more than that, right? And a lot of times the so-called terrible things they did is because terrible things happened to them. I mean, or they didn't know better. Or, is it true? Anybody else? Yes. Yeah. So, and when you have that thought, I have to be strong. I can't get sick. Is that a good thought for you? It's a wholesome. It causes you happiness, or does it cause you a lot of stress? And you know what I'm saying? You know. Mhm. Right. Yeah. 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 Right. But the so again, it's not like all our thoughts are distorted, but it's saying the thoughts, it's like Diane was saying, the thoughts that cause us suffering, the cause that stress us. I can't get sick. Oh my God, if I get sick, what's going to happen? There'll be nobody to take care of my husband. And, it's sort of a catastrophizing kind of thing, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? And to say that, is it true? All right, let's say you got sick, right? The way you are afraid of getting. And for a month, you were sort of incapacitated. All right. Yeah, yeah. But I'm saying, is it true that there would be nobody to take care of your husband? Yeah. Well, what did you just say? That's pretty. Are there other people? All right. But again, you see. But the truth is, if you were really incapacitated, and if your husband needed care or help, either with family, friends, or hiring somebody. Okay. Oh, true. Oh, you forgot about that one. Yeah, yeah. Oh, can you see? And then there's yeah, it's very different and say, yeah, I'd like to stay healthy because I'd like to be there for my husband and help him in many ways and all that. But is it true that if you got sick, it would be a disaster? You know, I saw an interview with someone, or I read something. Somebody was talking to environmentalists, and they were saying they're talking about that what's going on with climate change and all the things, the dire predictions. They were talking about the extinction of the human race, right? Which some people are talking about, hypothetically, with what's going on, depending on how it unfolds. And these people were saying how horrible, what a disaster that would be, what a catastrophe, how, you know what I mean? If the human race, and the person said to them, well, I understand it could be a disaster for human beings, but how about the animals? It may be a real blessing to them. And how about the plants? Could be. And how about all the natural resources? And how about the marine? You know what I mean? It was all of a sudden, well, if human beings weren't around, the world might be a much better place. I mean, it was just very interesting, that she was taking something that, again, it's like what you were just doing. From our point of view, it's like, and all of a sudden, when we open it up, we realize, oh, there's a whole nother way of, it's bigger. And that, is it true, gets us out of that. Is it, that it's true? You know, the end of human beings on Earth is a disaster. No, it could be the best thing that ever happened for the Earth. Human beings on Earth have been a disaster. And, I mean, it's just interesting. Is it true? If we take the time to look at our thoughts from the big ones just to the little ones. Who else has a thought? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Hmm. Is it true? Yeah, yeah. But you well, I guess I would say to you, even if it was true that we are, I'm just repeating, I'm repeating. So he's saying, yeah, that he thinks about climate change a lot. He's responding to the what I just talked about and saying he often thinks that way. And if you accept that that is a very real possibility at this point, that could affect one's mood and what decisions one's make and all that, right? Yeah, it could. But we don't know if it's true. And even if it was true, here we are, right? Doesn't mean we can't, do everything we can, right? But here we are. And we still have the same challenges we have to be the most wholesome person, we be the kindest person, the most helpful person. How do I want to be, right? You know, even if people are panicking, do I want to be one of those people who give them strength? You know, as Thich Nhat Hanh says, when everyone's panicking in the boat, who's going to be that person that holds the center, that stays calm, that projects fearlessness, right? So for bodhisattvas, there's always a role to play, right? Even in a disaster, just more reason to work on oneself. I want to be that person to hold the center. Is it true? Any other things that you're not clear about? Think about your most cherished beliefs. Yes, that stir you up a lot.
I want to check, I guess, my understanding. So, in your exchange with Mike was helpful, like, because I think there's a part of me that worries, like, well, if I really do this all the time, I'll never do anything, and that's not what you're saying, of course.
If I do what all the time?
Like, if every thought that comes into my head.
No, no, no. I'm not saying every thought. No, no, no.
Right.
Right. So I'm not saying, yeah, every thought. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it'd be hard to, carry on a life.
Yeah, and it's
Right. No, so I'm not saying that. It's saying with the thoughts that are sticky, with the thought that cause us affliction, to the thoughts we attach to the thought, though it's a certain kind of thinking that we believe is absolutely true.
and in doing that, when those thoughts come up, it does not mean that I wouldn't make changes to a situation. It just means I'm going to try to do that from a place that's not overcome by emotionality. I'm still going to do my best. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's again coming back to what we talked about yesterday and referred to today. This is a world. There's no stability in this world. Right? Things are changing all the time. This mind of ours, it's totally unstable. It's changing all the time. The information that's coming in always, it's like endlessly unstable. Right? Now, right? For most people, their reaction to this instability, impermanence of life is to what? Try to grab on, make something, attach, or push away. We're endlessly trying to find some stability and meaning and purpose in this totally open, fluid, right? So that's the normal person's answer because they're deluded. They don't see that that's, you know, right? So they're always attaching and averting and therefore suffering, right? Now the Buddha looked at the same situation and he came up with a radically different solution. Accept this totally fluid, open system and learn how to be simply present without grasping, without pushing away. That's right. So he gave us a totally different way of being without this going about it in this way that causes such suffering to ourselves and others. Right? So yeah, so in life, I mean, see, that's what we're doing all the time. But we think, like people plan. People do a lot of planning in our society. Have you noticed that? Right? They plan for what? They plan for their retirement, don't they? Anybody here, plan for their retirement? I may see some retirement planners in the room. Who knows, right? I mean, it's like we're retiring, and yet we have no idea how our life's going to unfold, do we? Absolutely not. We don't have any idea how the economy is going to unfold, do we? Absolutely not. We have no idea of anything, in truth, and yet we plan as if it's true. And then when it doesn't work out that way, we go, "Oh my God!" Right? Oh my God! Right? I wasn't counting on this. Right? Sickness, old age, and death was not part of my retirement planning. I thought it was golf and tennis and eating out every night. I mean, how did this happen? You see? You know, like people, they have money in their stock, and then stocks go down. Oh, hold on, this wasn't part of the plan. It's supposed to just go up every year. I thought that's what they told me. Is it true? So, is it true restores us to reality? What's reality? We don't know anything, and yet within this not knowing anything, we do our best, right, to navigate it. But we accept that we don't know anything, and things may not turn out the way we want. Right? I mean, that's the Buddhist teaching. So it becomes very wide open, very creative, always, adapting every day. I mean, we wake up in the morning. Do you really know how the day is going to unfold? What everybody's going to say, or everything's going to do you? Does anybody here know exactly? Anybody here have that kind of power? No, the truth is what? We don't have a clue. The day will unfold not according to our day planner, but according to all the interactions, moment to moment, of reality. So our job is what? Just to be ready. Be open, present, adaptive. Right? So good. So please. So who's going to write these down? Will somebody write these 5 down? And if we can get somehow, the office is probably closed, or maybe just on a piece of paper and just post it out here. And there are all those little memo pads. I think a lot of people have them. You can write them down, the 5, in a very simple way. And then, most important, is it true? Think about all your deeply held beliefs about yourself, about your childhood, about your parents, about your loved ones, about your hated ones. Is it true? Absolutely true. Really unpack the ones you hate, the ones that disappointed you, the ones you have all that negative thoughts about. There are this, there are that. Is that true? That's all they are. What are you? Right? So this is very powerful, okay? And very liberating. Enjoy your practice today. I'm sure everybody has a lot to work with.